So good morning, grade 12 students. In this session, we're going to continue with the exercises of chapter 12 about the neurotransmitters and about the medical applications on page 234. We'll move it to the exercises on your book. We solve exercise 2, exercise 3 on 248, 249. And also we finished exercises 4 and 5 in the previous session. Today, we're going to continue with exercise 6. In this exercise, what's happening? In this exercise, we have two experiments. We have two experiments. We have two documents, document 1 and document 2. Please pay attention in this session in order to move step by step in this exercise. So here in this exercise, we have in the first experiment. What did they do? In an animal, the electric stimulation of the nerve fibers C. Where are the nerve fibers C? Here. These are the nerve fibers C. In document 1. These nerve fibers C, they are connecting the skin to the spinal cord. So they connect the skin to the spinal cord. S1, S2, and S3, they are the synapses. Synapse 1, synapse 2, and synapse 3. S1, S2, S3. As well as the neuron I is the interneuron. Here it is the interneuron. And here also we have the letter R recording and so on. We moved step by step. So in an animal, the electric stimulation of the nerve fiber C in document 1 connecting to the spinal cord, the skin to the spinal cord, it causes pain sensation. What do we call the neurotransmitter that is responsible for the feeling of pain? شو بنسميها هيدي السبستنس؟ حكينا عنها before. What do we call this substance that is responsible for feeling of pain or the pain sensation? بنسميها
substance.
the P substance. Very good. So we call it the P substance. So the P substance, it's analgesic. Why? Because it causes pain. While substances that causes the relief of pain or the decrease in the feeling of pain, بنسميهم analgesic because they release or they decrease the feeling of pain. Example about this, في عندي شيء اسمه endogenous substances في exogenous. Endogenous, they are produced naturally inside our body. Example about this, the enkephalin, if you remember, endomorphin. Or the exogenous substances, example about this, the morphine. How do they work? They inhibit the exocytosis of the P substance, either partially or completely. If it's completely, so the pain message will be stopped or inhibited completely. And this is the case of morphine, if you remember when we talk about the morphine. Or in the case of enkephalin, the exocytosis of the P substance is inhibited partially. That's why we have feeling of pain, but it's not that much in the absence of the release of enkephalin. So here, first I want you to know what the meaning of pain sensation, what is responsible for the pain sensation. Let's continue. The corresponding nerve message can be detected in recording A. So recording A can be detected the nervous message. This is the recording A, it's the control. It's used to compare and explain the results. Here we have high frequency of the nerve message and the frequency كتيرة recording the nerve message. However, these recording can be detected using an oscilloscope where the electrode is implanted in the centripetal neuron. In the centripetal neuron connecting the spinal cord to the brain. Already we know that in the brain we have two parts. We have the thalamus and we have the cerebral cortex, the outer layer of the cerebrum is the cerebral cortex, and we have the thalamus. First, chemical analysis that are done before and after the stimulation in a specific region of the spinal cord where neurons C are found, they show increase in the concentration of the substance P. So chemical analysis before and after the stimulation, they show an increase in the release of the substance P. So we have a pain message that is delivered here. This substance is normally found in the synaptic vesicle and the secretory vesicles of the neurons C. They're found here. They are found naturally, these substances, the P substance. Part A, what did you want? Part A, they asked you to do what? They ask you to determine the pathway of the nerve impulse during a pain message, starting from the skin, moving toward what? Toward the brain for sure. So first it's going to move to the skin, then to the spinal cord, then it's going to move to the parts of the brain which are the cerebral cortex, and finally it will move to the thalamus as well. So these cerebral cortex and the thalamus, they are parts of the human brain. Part B, specify the role of the P substance. P substance, already we know this. P substance is responsible for the feeling of the pain sensation. It's responsible for the feeling of pain. It's called an analgesic substance because it causes the feeling of pain. Already we know this, and this is mainly according to your knowledge also. In the second experiment, what do? They stimulate in a simultaneous manner both fiber C and the limbic system. This is the limbic system. Okay? So limbic system and the fiber C. What is the limbic system? It's a zone in the brain or a region in the brain that's connected to the spinal cord by the help of the neurons R. So limbic system is a region in the brain, هي موجودة in the level of the brain, and it connects the spinal cord by the neuron R. يعني موصل إلى spinal cord by the help of the neurons R that are found here. So شو عملوا? They did simultaneous stimulation for both fiber C and the limbic system. Recording B is obtained and the pain sensation it ceases rapidly. يعني البين sensation بلشت تخلص. Why؟ إذا بنطلع بفيجر A أو control A this recording عندي أنا هون شو؟ عندي high frequency. However, in recording B بس عملنا simultaneous stimulation for fiber C and the limbic system, what happens? The frequency it decreases. So the frequency of the pain message it decreases. Here, analysis of secretions in synapses. In the synapses S1, S2, and S3, it shows that we have secretion of serotonin in S1. So in the S1, we have secretion of serotonin. In S2, we have secretion of enkephalin, endomorphin. So enkephalin, as we know, already we know this, that enkephalin is analgesic. It decreases the feeling of pain by partial inhibition of the exocytosis of the P substance. إذا أنا هيدول ماني عارفها ما هعرف حل السؤال because this information already we talk about it, and already we talk about the enkephalin, and already we talk about morphine, and حكينا about the pain message or the pain circuit. Part 3, we have decrease at the level of S3. So we have decrease in the concentration of the P substance. شو يعني؟ يعني عندي هون inhibition of the exocytosis of the P substance upon this stimulation. So upon this stimulation شو صار عندي release؟ صار عندي في release of the enkephalin and synapse 2 S2. صار في عندي secretion of serotonin in S1, and in S3 this region we have decrease in the pain the pain substance or the P substance which is responsible for the feeling of pain. So عم بقول لي part C based on the acquired knowledge يعني according to your information, according to what you studied, according to what you know concerning the mode of action of enkephalin, you have to explain how the sensation of the pain is interrupted. Enkephalin, what does it do? Already we said this. Enkephalin or endomorphin, it has a role in partial inhibition and the exocytosis of the P substance. So whenever we have partial inhibition in the exocytosis of the P substance, this means that the P substance release will decrease as well as the feeling of message pain is going to be decreased. Part D, after interpreting the recordings, explain the role of serotonin. What is the role of serotonin that is secreted, at the level of S1? Let's start step by step in first part. First part, they want you to trace the pathway. So it moves first from the skin to the spinal cord, then to the thalamus, and then to the cerebral cortex. I said that the thalamus and the cerebral cortex, they are the parts in the brain. Substance P is the pain neurotransmitter. Is the neurotransmitter responsible for the pain? What does it do? It's responsible for the propagation of the pain message. As such, it's an analgesic substance because it causes the feeling of pain. Why the substance that causes the relief of the pain or decrease in the feeling of pain نسميها analgesic. And these analgesic and analgesics, they are antagonistic. يعني as I want to talk about P substance, it causes pain. Enkephalin or morphine, they are antagonistic for this. Yani they have opposite function. Part C, they ask you about the enkephalin, the mode of action. Enkephalin is a neurotransmitter that's secreted by the neuron in the pain circuit, the modulatory neuron. Already we talked about this, if you remember, in the pain circuit message, the modulatory neuron. And it inhibits the neuron C. So as such, this will inhibit partially, and pay attention to this word. This is the key word here. Keyword, enkephalin, it partially inhibits and not totally. Why? Because it inhibits partially the exocytosis, not completely. That's why the pain message frequency will decrease, but it will not be inhibited at all. That's why we have partial inhibition of the nervous message and partial inhibition of the pain message due to this role. يعني هون enkephalin إذا قلت لي هون it inhibits, only you are going to lose half. Half over the question. If it's one, you're going to lose half. Why? Because partial inhibition is very important here because it's not complete. Why? If you have morphine, it completely inhibits or it totally inhibits. بينما enkephalin, it partially inhibits the exocytosis of the substance P. Okay, this is for C. Interpreting the experiments and draw out the role of the serotonin. So after the electric stimulation of nerve fiber C in experiment 1, we have stimulation of nerve fibers C only. So we have high frequency of the action potential as shown in the recording A, which is the control. عملنا stimulation for the nerve fiber C and the high frequency of the action potential. However, after stimulation of both fiber C and the limbic system as well in experiment 2, what happened? Recording B shows absence of action potential is recording. This showed that both stimulation of the limbic system blocks the transmission of the brain message. يعني هيدي فرجتني انه بس اعمل stimulation for the limbic system as shown here. هون عملنا stimulation of the limbic system. هون كان عندي normally كان مثل الكنترول بس عملنا stimulation, it is no action potential, so it inhibits the propagation of the nervous message or the transmission of the pain message as well. However, analysis of the secretion in synapses shows we have secretion of serotonin and enkephalin, as well as we have decrease in the secretion of the substance P, which is responsible for the P substance. This proved that the neuron R, when a neuron R, this is the neuron R, this one, the neuron R. What does it do? Neuron R stimulated the neuron I, the interneuron, by secreting serotonin. So neuron R في بيعمل secretion of serotonin. هذا بيعمل stimulation للنeuron I to secrete the enkephalin, which is the analgesic, and it inhibits partially the exocytosis of SC3. So هون لما يحس لما نعمل نحن stimulation of both the limbic system and the nerve fiber C in this experiment. So the neuron R شو عمل؟ شو عمل has a role. It secretes serotonin. So هيدا السيروتونين شو عمل؟ This serotonin it causes the propagation of the nervous message. بعت له message قال له للI, the interneuron, this one, قال له you have to secrete enkephalin. This enkephalin, it's secreted. So whenever it's secreted the enkephalin at this region, it will inhibit partially the exocytosis of the P substance, as well as in SC3 لما قلب experiment we have decrease in the concentration of the P substance. So serotonin هو secreted by the neuron R, and this secretion عملت a feedback on the I interneuron to secrete the enkephalin. Whenever it secreted the enkephalin, this leads to the decrease in the secretion or the exocytosis of the P substance at the level of SC3 synapse SC3. So this proved that neuron R stimulated, or it provokes, or it, let's say, stimulates the neuron I by secreting serotonin. The neuron I will secrete enkephalin. which decreases the release of P substance. Later, ما قالت inhibits إلا decrease. Or instead of decrease, you can use the word which partially inhibits. Okay? Either partially inhibit or you can use the word it decreases the exocytosis of the B substance, and then the stimulation of the neuron as is stopped, which lead to the stopping of the action potential. بطل عندي action potential. So in this experiment عرفنا السيروتونين هو شو بيعمل. Serotonin بيعمل stimulation for the release of the enkephalin. Whenever it's released the enkephalin, it will lead to the partial inhibition of the exocytosis of the P substance, or it decreases the exocytosis of the P substance as well, and this will lead to the decrease in the feeling of pain for the nervous message. On, we finished everything related to the nervous system. I'm going to move now to introduction, to small introduction for the immunology. For the immunology, with the science that studies the immune system. All of you know that our body consists of different systems. I have the nervous system already, we finished about it. We have the immune system, we have digestive system, respiratory system, reproductive system, urinary system, muscular system, skeletal system, and so on. So what is the immune system? What is the function of the immune system? What does it do inside our body? What are the different cells in the immune system? What are the properties of these cells? What do they do inside the body? How do they act? What do they secrete? How do they work? How do they cooperate together? How do they function in order to transmit the message that we have a foreign system or a non-self? What the meaning of self? What the meaning of non-self? What is HLA? How can the body determine what is belonging to our body and what is foreign from our body? How can we determine that this cell belongs to my body and which cell doesn't belong? What are the different types of grafts? How can we determine that this cell can easily be incorporated inside our system? Step by step, we're going to move to this. In this session, Introduction to Immunology is an important session. Introduction to Immunology, I'm going to go deeply into this next week. So immunology is important chapter, including different steps. These I'm going to summarize them all in the introduction. I'm going to summarize to give you all the hints as we did before in the introduction. Then whenever we finish the introduction, I'm going to go deeply inside your book, step by step, to start funding and starting to uh, explain every single document in our book. So introduction, it's an overall explanation for this chapter. So introduction, like that in the nervous system. I started with a overall introduction, and then I moved deeply to the exercises and to the work. So if you concentrate in the introduction, 80% of the immunology will be covered. So let's start step by step. First of all, what is the immune system? The immune system is known to be, it's the army that protects our body. All you know that the army in any country, it protects our country, it protects the country. So the immune system is like the army inside our body. It's protected against any harm around us, any foreign substances like bacteria, like viruses, parasites, others. All of them, they are, for example, protected by the army, which is the immune system. So all our organs, they are protected against these non-self microorganisms. So the immune system, what is the role of the immune system? The role of the immune system is to defend the body, to protect the body against invasion by these bacteria, these viruses, these parasites. For example, nowadays we have the COVID-19, the coronavirus. So the role of the immune system is to protect you. So if you have a good immunity, this immunity will help you to get rid of this. If you have a weak immunity, you will have a lot of troubles in treating this virus, which is the coronavirus, for example. So the immune system, what is the immunity? We have three terms. You have to be careful about these three terms. And the term is immunology. We have a term called immunity, and we have a term, it's called immune system. Immunology, everything that ends with ology always, it's a science like immunology, physiology, psychology, neurophysiology, biology. All of them, they are sciences. So immunology is the science that studies the immune system. So immunity, what is the immunity? هي المناعة. So it's the body's ability to respond to foreign attacks. Foreign meaning that it doesn't belong to my body, like the viruses, the bacteria, the parasites, and others. While the immunology, شو الاميونولوجي؟ It's the science as I said that studies the immunity. يعني هي بتدرس الاميونيتي، بتدرس المناعة. شو بيعمل المناعة؟ نظام المناعة. So it studies the immune system, the cells of the immune system, the organs of the immune system, and how do they work. بنسميها the mechanism of action or the way of action. It's called the mechanism. So immunology هو always the science. Immunity هو المناعة. Immune system هو جهاز المناعة. So is the army made up of single unit? انتوا كلكم بتعرفوا الجيش جيش is composed, the army is composed of different units. عند القوات البحرية، القوات البرية، القوات الجوية. So this is the army. So what about our body? Our body is composed of different cells. هنسمي منهم شوي now. أكيد حنروح into details step by step. في عندي شيء اسمه B lymphocyte. في عندي شيء اسمه T lymphocyte. They are under the title which is the lymphocyte. عندي شيء اسمه bone marrow. هنتعرف شو بيعمل البون marrow. عندي شيء اسمه the monocyte. عندي شيء اسمه granulocyte. عندي شيء اسمه neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils. All of them, they have different functions. So the cells inside the body, they are composed, or the immune system is composed of different cells and different units. So this is the immune system. We have different cells as well, different tissues, and then we have different organs. So here, so what determines whom the army should attack? Anyone have an idea? كيف بيعرف immune system if this cells belong to my body or not? Anyone have an idea about this? Who knows what determines whom the army should attack? يعني كيف بيعرف جسمي انه هيدي non self I have to attack it. This is a self I don't have to attack it. Do you know this?
DNA.
DNA no. It's related to the DNA. تشبهها شوي. بديع.
The self cells are not self and non-self.
Natural A.
في شيء similar self or non self. شو بيعرف النيو سيستم تبعولي انه self or non self. Yes بديع, your answer.
No, never mind.
Never mind. Okay, yeah. So شو بيعرف انه هيدي السيلز؟ يعني انا for example هلا انا عندي liver cell، عندي skin cell، عندي heart cell، عندي muscle cell. ليش جسمي ما بيهجم عليهم؟ ليه for example my body doesn't attack these cells؟ ليه ما بيهجم عليهم وبيقتلهم؟ What is the cause of this? Let's start step by step. You know, the immune system, in your opinion, will defend or will attack the citizens or the foreigners. أكيد the immune system will defend the citizens. Citizens meaning that my organs, my cells, my tissues هيحميهم. While it will attack any foreigner, any cell or any tissue or any organ outside my body. That's why some cases بصير في عندي شيء اسمه kidney transplantation or for example liver transplantation or heart transplantation. كيف الجسم بيتقبله وكيف بيقولوا بده يلاقوا حدا قريب له. يس محمد.
Is it the human leukocyte antigen?
Human leukocyte antigen اللي قالها علي, it's the HLA. هي the human leukocyte antigen. يعني for example انتوا هلا students of the International School of Innovation, students of ISI. انت رايح على المدرسه الصبح، انت لابس اليونيفورم تبعون المدرسه. كيف ممكن يعرفوا ان انت you are a student of ISI? You have here a logo on your t-shirt. You have a logo. This logo will help you to, will help the others to know that this is a student of the ISI, right? So inside our body, we have a similar phenomenon or a similar mechanism, but sure not a logo. So we have something called ID. يعني انت for example هلا رايح من هون بدك تسافر. إذا ما معك باسبورت فيك تسافر؟ أكيد لا. So you should have a passport. This passport is essential to know that you are a Lebanese and to show your identity. While if you don't have this passport, you can't pass. So this is the self. This is the case of the self. They have a special identity marker. This marker is called the HLA. Self and non-self. What the meaning of self and what the meaning of non-self? Self is everything that belongs to one's body, like my skin, my hair, my nose, my mouth, my liver, my pancreas, my kidney, my stomach, my heart. All of them, they belong to my body. So all of them, we call them self. However, non-self, all that does not belong to one's body. Like what? Like my friend hand, like Ali Hariri's hand. It's non-self with respect to me. Like my friend's kidney, my friend's pancreas. All that does not belong to my body is called a non-self. Viruses, bacteria, parasites, all of them, they don't belong to my body. So they are considered as non-self. So here, self or non-self. What determines which the immune system will attack, the self or the non-self? Which one will attack? Sure, it will attack the non-self. How? What is the marker or what is the role to distinguish between the self and non-self? We're going to cover this in the next week.